So I exported from Vasari the Mass XML file, the gbxml file. First thing I want to check in Vasari is under File and User Preferences. Just make sure that the localization says US or feet in inches. The product was created as being primarily metric, so you need to change the settings and apply this so that this is going to be what the working settings are. I'm now going to go out and say File, Import, Model Analysis Data, and what I'm looking for is the XML file that I just created. I'll look in the folder where I put it, which was the folder here. It was called New School, and open it up. It's got all of this data. Mostly it's just faces that you'll see what happens when I bring them in, but when I say open new, it's brought them in. The areas that it thought of as being windows are shown on here. So under the 3D editor, if I click on it and look up here, it says window single glazed. If I click on a wall, it says brick timber framing. So these are materials that I can create and apply to my model. I'm okay with this being the way it is at the moment. What I want to do is show how in here I can do some analysis of the classroom itself. So looking at it the way that it is, I'm going to just make a few changes so that you can see that I'm going to, well, let me analyze it first. So under the Analyze tab, I'm going to click on the option that says Display Analysis Grid. And there it is, this blue shape here. I'm going to take the analysis grid and I'm going to fit it to one of the classrooms. So if I click on the bottom here, I'm going to hit the space bar until I find the bottom of the classroom. And then I'm going to use the option under this tab that says automatically fit the grid to objects. And if I look at the choices here, I can fit it around, I can do different things, but the option I want is I want it to fit within the selected object. So I'd selected the floor, so fit within the selected objects. Like that, and now I've got my analysis grid on in this individual classroom. If I look at the analysis grid, I'm going to set the height to closer to the ground level. So I'm moving it down. I'm going to move it slightly above ground level because, let's say the 3 inches there, because I don't want the color of the surface on the base of the building to interfere with the color of the actual daylight analysis data where it shades the squares. I'm going to do a couple of more things here. It was 30 by 30, so I'm going to say adjust the grid stance. Actually, I'll say adjust the grid extents, adjust cell spacing, just to show you that I can go and I can adjust the size of the spacing by dragging on these points to change the position. But actually it would make a bit more sense for me just to go grid management and say that I'd said 30, right? So I'm going to say 30 in the X and 30 in the Y so that my grids are about a foot in size. And I'm going to set a value of maybe 15 for the height, although initially I'm not going to use the height for the analysis, but I'm just changing the size of the analysis grid that was in there. So if I go back to where I was before, that's my spacing on the grids. If I look at the top of this analysis, I can decide what I want to see. Do you want to see the grid lines? Do you want to see the shading of the actual grid squares themselves? Let me see if I can drag this a little out so there's a bit more space for you to see what's going on. And I'm actually going to create different data at the same time, but and choose to view it in my model. So right now I'm going to go perform calculation. It's lighting levels is checked. Perform calculation. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for natural light levels. I'm looking for the analysis to be over the grid. At the moment I'm only concerned with a two-dimensional grid. It's going to look at rays of light from the dome of the sky. If I choose the option on the left, there'll be a minimum number of points calculated and it'll be fast. If I choose the next option up, it'll take longer, but it'll be more accurate because there's more samples being taken. I'm going to leave it at this one at the moment. That was the medium. Sky illuminance, depending on where I'm located, I actually have to remember to go back and tell it that I'm in Gainesville. So let me do that before I run the calculations. But the dirtiness of the windows affects, so I'm going to just use average of their 90% clear. And I'm interested in regulatory compliance. So this is a summary of the settings. Now, if I've set it up once, I can tell it to automatically save that information, and I can tell it to skip the wizard next time I come back to it. I'm going to say OK. And what I want to do next is under the climate. Oops, sorry, it's going to start running for the default. So let me just see if I can stop that. Escape a couple of times to get out. I'm going to go back and set the weather file. There are a bunch delivered with the product. What I have done is taken from the US weather data for the airport in Gainesville and converted it to a file that I can use for this project. So I'm going to go down to my folder. And in here I've got the oops, sorry, this is the wrong one. I picked the wrong file. It's it existed as an EPW, and I converted it to a WEA file, which is what I was trying to locate. So back to my folder, and in here I think I just called it Gainesville. There it's there, sorry, right in front of my nose. I'm going to load in that and upload the global position to match that file. I'm also just going to check something else. Back on the project tab here, I'm keeping true north as the direction that I had before. So I've got here the ability to edit the model. I've got here the ability to visualize the model in different 3D views, but right now all I want to do is analyze it. So under this visualization tab, if I get in a bit closer to my classroom that I'm analyzing, and now I'm in a position, you see the grid there, but now I'm in a position to say perform the calculations. Okay, and what you should see is it starts to work its way through the grid. I might have to lift that a little bit from above the elevation where it is, because it looks like I'm getting this kind of grey colour, which is the surface of the actual ground, and that's because the axis is up here. So let me hit escape and just move the axis off the bottom and then perform again. So there I can see it measuring the daylight levels in the model itself. Now, it might be that I want to remove part of the building to make this a bit clearer what's actually going on. So in Ecotect, I'll just let it finish. It's done it very quickly, and it's saved the model. In here, it might be that I want to look at different data. So you'll see that on the top here, where I had the option of daylight factor, and it's showing the percentage of the sky that it can be seen from those points on the grid. But if I change this to, say, daylight levels, it's now showing foot candles. If I change to, say, show me contour lines, it's now showing me the data contoured. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see it. I zoomed in a little bit, so what I'm going to do is right click and say save the changes to this camera, which is the way of saving the changes in my view. So let me stop there, and then what I'll do is I'll make further changes on here so you can see what the results look like. Just before I leave, what I'm going to do is just go to the option at the top here, and I'll switch off the actual classrooms so that you can see just the grid by itself with the daylight values inside it.